Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. I am going for my second installment of Where You Live Wednesdays. Today I am in Merrill at one of my listings located at 101 North Kai Street. It has recently had a price reduction to $55,000, which is that's incredibly low. If you haven't already run the numbers on something like that, it's less than rent, I'll tell you that much. So we are at MLS number 1606352 if you wanted to look that up. I have a special guest with me to highlight some of the programs available to buyers, especially first-time buyers who don't have a ton of funds in hand to make improvements to properties. And given the landscape of our real estate market today with the limited number of listings to pick from, this really helps open up a lot of options to people who, again, don't necessarily have the money to make necessary updates to a property that might need a little TLC. So the reason we're here at 101 North Kai Street today is because there are a couple of things that people have expressed concern about, and I wanted to highlight for you the options that you have available to make this listing an opportunity that you could move forward with. So I'm going to turn this around to Seth Pavlovich from Fairway. Did I say it right?
You did right.
All right. From Fairway Mortgage, who has a couple of loan programs that he'll briefly talk about to give you an idea of, again, what those options are to be able to finance some of the improvements that some properties in the market might need just to move forward with a little bit of help to make it what you're looking for it to be. So I'm going to turn this around. Give me 1 second. Hey, Seth.
Hello.
Welcome to Where You Live Wednesdays and the City of Merrill.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well.
Good.
Happy to be here with you.
Good. So tell us a little bit about, we've talked behind the scenes about some of the loan programs available, like I just said, that allow buyers to finance some of the improvements that a property might need.
Yeah, and I'm talking to the crowd that may have toured a home, this one included, and walked in and said, you know, we're almost there, not quite. I like everything except this. It needs some big fundamental improvements that I just may not have the money for. So I'm talking to those people that may have looked at a home like this and really appealing to you to listen to what I have to say. I don't want anybody defeated by walking into a home, looking around and having a vision of improvements and not knowing what to do about it. When I looked at homes 5 years ago with my wife, we toured a lot of homes, and they were all about 85% of the way to what we wanted. Some homes are a little farther, some are a little closer, but when you buy a home, it's a big investment. You want to be closer to what you want, or as close as you possibly can get it. So what I want to talk to you about is renovation loans. Some people watching or listening may be familiar with that, some people may not. What is a renovation loan? Simply put, a renovation loan is a loan that's used to buy a home, as well as pay for or finance renovations that are needed or wanted at the same time. So it's a one loan deal. You don't have to buy a home, get a separate line of credit after the fact. You don't have to buy a home and get a construction loan. You can do it all in one in some cases. So I want to talk to you about that. The nice point, improvements that you can do, the top improvements typically HVAC, windows, roof is a big one, appliances, carpeting. The types of improvements that you walk into a home and say, boy, you know, if it had these things replaced, repaired, this one might be the one for us. And in this home we're standing in, it's off the main street in Merrill. You're about 2 minutes from the highway to the east. Really great location, Main Street, USA. There's nothing more American than what I'm standing in, but there are some things about the property that people may walk in and find objectionable, and I'm offering a possible solution to that. So renovation loans, the other neat thing about them is they're done through the FHA. There are 2 FHA options and there's 1 Fannie Mae option. There's the 203K standard program, which is a program for renovations that may be a little more extensive, and I'm talking about if you want to add a bedroom or increase the footprint of a house. The 203K limited is the second one. This is for renovation and finishing items that are maybe a little less, but still maybe a little bit beyond the norm. And then the Fannie Mae Home Style is for things that are a little more simple and include landscaping. So if you have something that needs a little bit of landscaping TLC, you can include that in that program too. Really cool feature. If you qualify for an FHA loan, if you've ever been to a bank and talked about one, you probably qualify for an FHA 203K loan, and most likely the Fannie Mae Home Style program. So it's It's an ease of qualification point as well. And those programs, FHA in particular, requires as little as 3.5% down. So if you have a home that you are looking to buy for $75,000, I'm going to do simple math, improvements up to $25,000, your total loan amount of $100,000, you need to come up with 3.5% of that amount down, or $3,500 down, in order to get into the house, plus closing costs and prepaid items, of course. But just doing simple math, you can see how little that amount to get in the door of a place like this can be, and get the renovations done either while you're living here, and for the full 203 program, those improvements being a little bit bigger typically are done while you're not in the home. And for that program, you can finance up to 6 months of the loan payments while you're waiting to move in, while your renovations are being done. But it is all, in every case, a one-time loan closure. What we typically do, or the appropriate starting point, is find a lender that's 203K certified and that offers the programs. I'm one of 2 people in Marathon County I can think of that offer the program. Every loan is different, every borrower is different, so the right place to start is find a property that you think is 85% of what you want. Make a list of things that you might do to it, and let's start a conversation about what program might be appropriate for you. So that's what I recommend anybody as a starting point. Don't walk in and be dissuaded by a house or afraid of it. Walk in and make a list of things that you say, we're 85% of the way there. The other 15% looks like this. Then find a lender like myself that can offer you the answers to what the next steps are. That's about all I have, Laura. Hope I didn't overcomplicate it for everybody. But
that is a lot of great information. I think for those people who have not maybe even started the pre-approval process, what would they need to do to consider this program?
Well, make the phone call. Find the resource and just talk it through. That is probably the most difficult part for everybody, because when you walk into a home and you think about making improvements to it, one of the common obstacles or the things in your mind is, I'm going to barely have enough money, or I may not even fully understand yet what it would cost to buy a house that doesn't need renovations. Adding the renovation component can be daunting. It can be something that people are afraid of. So it's hard to say what I want people to know, because, again, every situation is different. Every vision of a home is going to be different. Find somebody that can answer your questions about how to use these programs to your advantage to improve a property that's in the right spot, within walking distance to schools like this one, close to a main street, low maintenance for somebody who doesn't want to have a ton of maintenance, and just start the dialogue. You'll find out if you qualify. You'll find out if the house qualifies. You can talk about repairs and renovations that you have an idea on, and if they fit in a program. So that would be my recommended first step.
That's great too. And another question that comes up from time to time to me is, how long would it take to close a loan like that? And if I was renting, what kind of timeline would I be looking at in being able to complete that process?
At least a decade. I'm just kidding. No, renovation is a great question. Renovation loans do take a little bit more time, namely because you are involving a contractor. You're getting a vision, and you're talking with the contractor about potential costs. And all that value and all those ideas have to be put into an appraisal. That conversation and dialogue with the builder can lengthen things out a little bit, just because it's normal that it would. So plan on probably 60 days from start to finish at the very minimum on these loans. Don't walk into it with the expectation that you can buy and close within 30 days. Just because that conversation and dialogue about needed repairs or desired repairs is probably going to take a little longer in working those details out.
That's good information. So within about 2 months' time, there's a possibility of purchasing a home that maybe needs a couple of pieces of TLC to make it exactly what you were looking for, even though it's not quite there yet. But within about 2 months' time, you'd be able to be in a place.
Yeah, and depending on the repairs, if windows are needed, if you're just talking about painting some carpet, that can move a little faster. If you're talking about elaborate things like windows, doors, roofing, that can take a little longer. If you're talking about a major renovation, which would be your full 203K program, adding footprint or adding a bedroom where you're adding foundation space, there is a little bit more involved in the process with finding a builder and vetting that builder out. We can walk through those steps. It's not a big deal, but good to know those items when we walk into it, so we can spell out the time frame and set the right expectations with you and everybody else.
Perfect. Well, we're so appreciative of your time coming up to Merrill to see this particular property in general. giving us some ideas of how something like this that's been sitting on the market, because there are a couple of improvements that would need to be made for most people's feedback, but giving them this option is definitely helpful, I think, in educating them that given, like I said, the landscape today with the limited amount of inventory to look at, there are more options than I think people even realize. So thank you, Seth, for your time today and for your expertise. And I think I will turn this back around so I'm not talking behind the screen. But if you have any additional questions, please feel free to post in the comments section. Seth will be helping me monitor those questions and answering them as they come up. If you feel more comfortable sending me a private message because you don't want to be publicly asking something, that's fine too. Go ahead and do that. Send me a private message on my Facebook page or shoot me an email at Laura@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to forward that to Seth or connect you with him as well. And as he mentioned, this is not just a Marathon County program. It's a national program through Fannie Mae, and the FHA program is a national program as well. So it is something that is available to everybody, regardless. And the qualifications for getting pre-approved generally are going to be based on income and credit scores. So if those are things that you haven't started to take a look at yet, now is the time to do that, because the fall pricing starts to take effect. It has, basically, because there becomes a little bit of a decline in activity, which means sellers have to start to adjust pricing to accommodate the lesser, the lack of traffic that goes through. So if you have not yet started this process, now is the time, because as we start to head into winter, you're going to start seeing some huge opportunities available to you. And if you're not ready to move on them, it is still somewhat of a competitive market when the right property comes up. So if you're ready and able to go, then now is the time. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and, like I said, get pre-approved. Seth and one other lender in the Marathon County area, but anybody who offers this particular program, it's a great option. I highly recommend Seth and his office too. They've done a great job for many of my clients. So thank you so much for watching. We're going to continue to probably do this on a monthly basis, the Where You Live Wednesdays segment, for now, until we start getting more of a schedule set up for next year, because this is a new idea. I'd love your feedback. If there are things that you want to see, or businesses or programs that you want highlighted, or questions that you have within the real estate industry that you would like to be more educated on, I'd love your feedback. So feel free to send that through as well. If there's been any information of value that you feel somebody you know might be interested in, please share this particular post, and feel free to like and follow my page so that you're getting notifications of these Where You Live Wednesday segments. I'm going to continue to try and find businesses and programs like like the FHA program we just talked about, and the Live It Up Wausau program. I'm going to try and include both Merrill and Wausau, since both are in my market space that I regularly work in, and keep you educated about where you live and what is involved in owning a home. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to private message me or comment below. We'll be monitoring, and I thank you for watching. Have a great rest of the week.